So after watching Spider-Man Brand New Day and seeing Peter Parker team up with the most unlikely of allies in Frank Castle the Punisher, played by Jon Bernthal, who's reprising his role from the Daredevil Netflix series as well as the Daredevil Born Again series and even the Punisher special presentation that we got recently. That got me thinking about some other characters from the MCU that I think would be interesting to see Spider-Man team up with in the future. Like, obviously, he teamed up with the Avengers in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, teamed up with some of the Avengers in Captain America Civil War. So looking back at that and thinking about Brand New Day and everything else, here are 5 other MCU characters that Spider-Man should team up with at some point in the future. Now, obviously, Avengers Doomsday is coming up, and then Secret Wars and everything. We don't really know the fate of Spider-Man yet. We don't know if, if there is going to be a Spider-Man 5 and 6 and all that stuff. If Spider-Man will even be a recurring character going forward after those points. But for now, it's just kind of fun to theorize on what's going to happen to the character and just think about some other characters I'd want to see interact with and team up with Spider-Man. And the first one, I think, is kind of an obvious one just because of the team up between Spider-Man and Frank Castle, and that is Daredevil. Now, obviously, in the comics and everything, Daredevil and Spider-Man share a common enemy in the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, who we obviously know from the Daredevil Born Again series and the Daredevil Netflix show and everything else, is the prominent villain for Daredevil, really, in the MCU right now. So to see them two ally together and join forces to take down Kingpin, I think would be a fun movie, and I think it feels like sometimes that they're building toward that, but then I guess maybe there's rights issues or something. I think Vincent D'Onofrio even confirmed that he can't be in an MCU movie, I guess, because of legal rights or whatever. Technically, Kingpin, I guess, is like a Spider-Man character, so it's a whole thing, I guess, but I feel like if they could pull it off and actually get past the rights issues and everything else and make this movie happen, I think it would be a lot of fun. And it's, that they obviously have that perfect tie-in with Kingpin, threatening New York. Obviously, he was the mayor of New York as of Daredevil Born Again Season 2, until he got kind of exiled and removed from his position and everything. But they could have had a nice tie-in, Brand New Day could have almost tied that in together. I said this before in my video, why is the Punisher in Brand New Day? It kind of doesn't fit when you don't have the Wilson Fisk connection and everything else. So given that, they are bringing characters from the, Born Again and stuff into the movies, it stands to reason, then that Daredevil should be able to team up with Spider-Man as well somewhere down the line. And actually, we did see at least Matt Murdock appear in Spider-Man No Way Home as Peter's lawyer to try and get him out of the situation that Quentin Beck put him in by revealing who he was and that he was a murderer and everything else from Far From Home. So we kind of already have seen those characters pop up, so why not have a team-up movie with Spider-Man and Daredevil where Spider-Man doesn't know that Daredevil is Matt Murdock and that kind of thing. Or now that Matt Murdock from Season 2 has revealed his identity to the public, and Peter Parker was kind of in the same boat there for a little bit until he erased everyone's memory with Strange's spell, maybe they could get along that way as well, where the public kind of knows who they are, but now Peter doesn't. So it's this whole thing, how did you deal with it versus how do I deal with it? And they could just have a fun team-up movie, I feel like. Even if they don't take on Kingpin, they could take on someone like Tombstone or some other crime syndicate. Even the Hand, apparently, is still out there, at least certain members of the group or whatever. We saw them in Brand New Day as well. And they're obviously, big-time villains for the Defenders, which we saw in the Defenders crossover series on Netflix, and even just Daredevil in general. But yeah, I think that's, a movie and a crossover that a lot of people really want to see, is Daredevil and Spider-Man teaming up for the first time ever in the MCU. I don't know why they haven't pulled the trigger on that. Again, obviously it's got to be rights issues with Sony and everything, but the fact that the MCU can continue to have Spider-Man movies and have Spider-Man crossing over with these other characters in the MCU, then why not have Daredevil be involved with that as well? The next one up is actually Ant-Man. I just think it'd be funny to see the two bug characters teaming up. Plus, if they had to do some kind of like heist or whatever into a villain's lair or something, you have the whole shrinking technology with Ant-Man, obviously, and then Peter Parker can crawl on the walls and everything. So like, I don't know. I just feel like those two characters would get along pretty well, but also kind of like maybe bicker a little bit or whatever. Or they could combine their resources together. You know, like Scott Lang could give Spider-Man some of his shrinking tech, so Spider-Man can get down into small places like he can, and they can both shrink down together and fight bad guys and that sort of thing. I think that would be a lot of fun for like a little crossover movie there as well. Those two characters, they could call themselves something funny like the Bug Squad or something. And I don't know if we've ever really gotten to see like Ant-Man and Spider-Man team up in the comics or anything. They're two very unique characters in a way, you know, like with what they can do and everything. So pairing them together, I feel like would be a lot of fun in some kind of fashion, whether it's a movie or a TV show, whatever. You know, I just think they'd get along well, and it'd be kind of interesting to see them interacting with each other and even teaming up, because they never really interacted with each other too much, I don't think, other than fighting each other in Civil War, obviously. But I don't think they've actually like interacted on a personal level where they spoke to each other or anything. So just having them kind of cross over with each other, I think, could make for an interesting movie. And the unique styles that they both have in fighting and everything, with Scott shrinking down or growing big into Giant Man and that kind of stuff, and maybe Peter swinging off of him like we saw in Civil War and everything. Like, the strategies that they could use are almost endless to take down whatever bad guy they would face. And I think that would make for a pretty interesting dynamic between the two of them. These next two I could actually kind of pair together as one, I guess. I'm going to start with Wolverine. Now, this one would obviously kind of be the same thing as like Spider-Man teaming up with the Punisher, because we know Wolverine is a killer, and that's like all he wants to do is just kill people and that kind of thing. He's very violent, and Peter Parker wouldn't want to see that when they're trying to take down a bad guy. So like, he was always constantly stopping Frank in this movie, Brand New Day, from killing the villain and from just killing people that they were fighting against. Like, he had to try and stop him from doing that and hold him back, sort of. And it was also the movie's way of, you know, keeping like sort of killing out of the movie and stuff to make it a more PG friendly movie while still involving the Punisher. So I think the same thing would apply here, but I don't know how Spider-Man would stop Wolverine from killing whoever the villain is that they would end up facing. But I think the banter between the two of them would be similar to Wolverine when he had to team up with Deadpool in Deadpool and Wolverine. It'd be like the quirky remarks from Spider-Man, but then like Wolverine's all serious and everything. They go about things in a different way. I think it would be a lot of fun to see them try to get along and occasionally fight each other throughout the movie or something. And the fact that Wolverine has the sharp claws, he can cut through Spider-Man's webbing if he tries to use it on him. If he gets out of control, Peter has to try and stop him like he did with the Hulk in Brand New Day. All these different scenarios I could see playing out with Spider-Man teaming up with Wolverine. But in the end, obviously, they would get along and take down whatever bad guy they face. Again, I don't really know who the villain would be for this one. I don't know if you'd go the mutant route and have like a mutant villain with Wolverine, or you stick with a Spider-Man villain and then Wolverine kind of helps him out or something along those lines. But either way, I think seeing those two characters teaming up it'd be kind of funny, but then also like kind of cool to see. It's like almost two OG characters. I know it's not exactly Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, but it's still a version of Spider-Man teaming up with the original Wolverine from the X-Men movies. That's something you wouldn't expect to see, and we are going to see something like that in Doomsday, I guess. But to see just these two characters teaming up like that, I think would be a lot of fun for fans just to see, and have some nice fan service moments as well, because you wouldn't expect something like that, like Spider-Man teaming with Wolverine. And then, like I said, this other one could also technically be tied into that as well, and that's Deadpool. I think Deadpool and Spider-Man, I don't know, I think they like fight each other in the comics or something, or they maybe team up but they don't get along very well or whatever. I just think the wisecracking remarks from Deadpool and the way that Spider-Man has like these quips and everything else when he fights criminals. I think it'd be fun to see them go back and forth like with words and stuff like against each other, kind of like Wolverine and Deadpool did. And then, you know, obviously they're two different fighting styles. Like Deadpool again is a killer just like Wolverine is, but he does it in a humorous way, and then Peter would have to stop him from killing because that's not the way he does things. You'd have Deadpool, you know, acknowledging and breaking the fourth wall and everything, and acknowledging maybe that, like, why am I in a Spider-Man movie? This should be a Deadpool movie or something like that. They can do so many different things, you know, with Deadpool being in a movie with Spider-Man that I think it'd be kind of funny. And especially seeing Deadpool have to just, like, fight normal criminals without killing them because Spider-Man tells them not to, I think would make for some funny comedy moments in an otherwise, like, normal Spider-Man movie. I don't know if that would make it too funny almost, like what they did with, like, Thor Love and Thunder, where it was mostly a comedy. But seeing this sort of, like, buddy cop dynamic between Spider-Man and Deadpool, trying to just get from point A to point B without them, like, or without Deadpool just wisecracking and, like, breaking into places or whatever and just killing anybody, like, I think would be hilarious to see. And like I said, you know, with all the everything that he comments about and that kind of stuff, and he can break the fourth wall and everything, it'd be funny to see the things that they have him talk about, like, oh, you don't look like Tobey Maguire or whatever, something like that, like they did with the Charles Xavier joke in the first Deadpool movie. It'd be kind of interesting to see him, like, say something similar here in this movie and make some kind of joke about the different Spider-Men that we've seen over the years or something. I think that would be a lot of fun. And finally, this one's kind of on the same route that they went with, like, No Way Home. But instead of Doctor Strange, I think it'd be kind of fun to see Spider-Man team up with Wong. But this time, maybe the plot could be Spider-Man is fighting against a criminal organization known as the Inner Demons, which are obviously led by Martin Lee, aka Mr. Negative, as we see in the Spider-Man video game made by Insomniac on the PlayStation. And because of their ability to use, like, dark magic or whatever to imbue their weapons with this, like, darkness and stuff, and they use those to rob places, that would obviously get Spider-Man's attention because he's trying to stop a break-in, and he ends up fighting these, like, criminals with super-powered weapons and that kind of thing. And then he could maybe go to the Sanctum to try and ask for help, like, hey, what do you think this is? What kind of magic is this? Or something. But then instead of finding Doctor Strange, he would find Wong. And then your whole adventure kicks off there, where Wong is also searching for them because of the magic they're using. He's trying to figure it out as well. He's heard about it or whatever. I think that would have been a fun premise for even Brand New Day, almost. Like a Spider-Man and Wong teaming up. You wouldn't expect something like that. Because Wong's this character that they sort of keep throwing into, like, other stories. Like, he was in Shang-Chi for a bit. He was in She-Hulk for some reason. I still don't understand that one, but whatever. And then, of course, obviously he's in the Doctor Strange movie. So he is in New York, so that's the kind of thing that he would respond to. So it seems natural that, like, Spider-Man would team up with him. And then you can add in the fact that they don't know where Doctor Strange is, and that can tie into, you know, him and Clea going after incursions, which is, I guess, tying into Doomsday and everything. So that can be like this little lingering mystery as well, where Spider-Man gets the Sorcerer Supreme, which is technically Wong right now, but he actually wanted Doctor Strange to help him out. I know, like, if they had done this for Brand New Day, that would have been, like, basically the same thing that they did with No Way Home, where he goes to Doctor Strange again, and it would have almost been a repetitive plot, but I think they could have made something work with these two characters teaming up. But Wong is just a fun character. I like seeing him in every movie that he's been in and stuff, and just, you never know what to expect from him or what he's gonna say. But yeah, that seems like a sort of natural team-up movie that I'm surprised they haven't actually considered or even done yet. And seeing Peter get to swing through, like, portals and stuff like he did in Infinity War, like when him and Doctor Strange were with the Guardians and they were trying to fight Thanos. You know, he kept swinging through the portals and kept kicking Thanos in the face and stuff. I think they could do that again here, but with Wong opening the portals and stuff. But there you go, guys. Those were just some other MCU characters that I would have liked to have seen Spider-Man team up with in the MCU, either in the future or if we never get to see that. These are some that I wish they would have done, had they thought of it for the previous Spider-Man films or whatever. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you agree with any of these picks? Who are some characters that you want to see Spider-Man team up with? If there is a future Spider-Man movie, let me know all that down in the comments section. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. And check out all our other Marvel-related content we have on this channel as well. And thank you for watching the video, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.